And China's successful because China's capitalist. That's why China's successful. It's because they're capitalist. And these retards, they open their mouth and they speak, and only shit is coming out. I believe in a new form of education that we should have for adults. So we have mandatory primary school education, K through 12, and then you're an adult, right? I actually think there should be a mandatory secondary education, but it should have legally enforced violence. So if you're a fucking retard, you should get beaten for saying stupid shit by the state-appointed teachers and educators. So if you're a fucking idiot who doesn't know anything and you're yapping and talking, you should be physically beaten with rulers and whatever. And I'm not talking the Caleb Maupin way, with paddling. I'm straight up, you get punched in the face by a state-appointed educator for the stupid shit that you say. This is the re-education I envision for people who claim that China is successful because of capitalism, thinking that this is some ironic, intelligent thing that they're saying. These people do not analyze systems or understand how systems work. They see money and they see markets. And you know what the most stupid one of all is? They see consumer goods and brands and say that's capitalism. Okay, baseball bat to the head. Not even KO. Institutionalized baseball bat to the fucking head for every fucking idiot and retard who claims that capitalism equals McDonald's and Coca-Cola and Mickey Mouse. Fuck you. I hate you. You're an idiot. I don't just think you're wrong. I have hatred toward you. Because what an idiotic, cliche, retard, hipster, idiot thing to say. If anything, the rise of consumerism and brands like McDonald's and Coca-Cola, while maybe reflective on a cultural level of certain aspects of bourgeois culture, the structure in terms of how they interface with markets and systems absolutely obeys a post-capitalist logic where profits are no longer principally in command, but the reign of aesthetics, the reign of culture as the assimilating and assailing force cohering supply chains for the reproduction of an aesthetical principle that is absolutely the sublimation of the logic of capital and commodities, which means it's no longer the pure empty form of profit that is in command anymore. It's an overall vision of culture or something. Steve Jobs, Apple, McDonald's, Mickey Mouse, it doesn't matter. Walt Disney. This is a post-capitalist logic of production that took place and was taking hold within American capitalism. Walt Disney and Henry Ford were not bog-standard capitalists described by Marx. They were quote-unquote visionaries, as the groveling retards like to call them. But the grain of truth in that claim that they're visionaries is that they represented the predominance of principles beyond naked profit as the guiding force behind production. So that's an extremely superficial and stupid thing to claim, that the presence of brands, foreign brands within China, and McDonald's means capitalism has prevailed. Oh, but McDonald's is a symbol of capitalism. Yeah, maybe if you're a fucking idiot and a retard who doesn't know what words mean. This is some stupid cliche from that disgusting game you play, Disco Elysium. And this is such a European way of analyzing the world, to be honest. And the capitalism is the hamburger from McDonald's. No, it's fucking not, you idiot. Read Alexander Kojev, you fucking moron. But at the end of the day, the Gucci bag is the capitalism. No, it's fucking not. Neither is you making money off of shitcoins capitalism. You don't know what capitalism is because you're an idiot. Capitalism today takes the institutional form of hedge funds and banks. It's principally financial. All these brands and companies are subordinated to far more abstract financial institutions in terms of who they answer to and who they are ultimately making quote-unquote money or fictitious capital for. They are speculative vehicles for the realization of fictitious capital. And that's where you have to first begin when you want to analyze the claim of whether capitalism has prevailed within China. In terms of the abstract financial institutions that predominate in determining our current global system or American-led system, does China allow the logic of financialization to prevail over the economy? Private financialization? No, and the answer is no. China maybe has a handful of private banks, if you can even call them private private, the monopoly on the printing of currency is firmly in the hands of the state, and production is driven by a logic of planning and development. It is not driven by the logic of naked profit. Profit within China is a tool for accounting. It's a tool for accounting, sure, to see if an enterprise is efficient with resources or not, or a given financial endeavor is efficient in terms of input and output. It's a method of accounting. A similar method of accounting existed under the Mao era. Money existed in the Mao era. Markets existed in the Mao era. There's nothing about money in markets or the use of very complicated and sophisticated financial tools that makes a country capitalist. What determines whether a country is capitalist is A, what is the dominant class? Who controls the state? Is the state subordinated to the interests of any given delimited private cartel? That's in America, absolutely it is. In China, can we say so? No, we can't. There's no evidence whatsoever there's any capitalist class that controls the Chinese state. B, the logic of production in China, although it assails, although it subordinates certain aspects we associate with capitalism, it assimilates them in a higher logic of production, which is absolutely measured on the basis of a much more concrete and determinate principle of common prosperity, of general happiness of the Chinese people, of metrics of growth that are quantifiable on a human basis, of development, of electricity, of technology, and so on and so on, according to the precepts of China's 5-year plans, which seem very simplistic on on a surface level, but you get in the nitty-gritty of how the planning process occurs in the details, and it's very meticulous. So no, China is a socialist country, okay? It's not even just because the state dominates the economy. State-owned enterprises and the public sector dominates. The point is, what goal or what principle is in command of the economy? Is it profit? Is it naked profit? Or is it a more concrete type of goal? Instead of naked profit and just money for money's sake, what actually drives and commands the Chinese economy? Well, it's a logic of production based on the achievement of socially oriented goals. So it's a socialist country, period.
You explained it beautifully. And for the people that still didn't, pick up on the memo, how he's explaining that a corporation, yes, they are technically focusing on making a shit ton of profit, but that doesn't necessarily make them capitalists, because the profits themselves, like Haas explained it, is a tool. You use it as a tool to achieve it to a much more greater end goal, which is uplifting the community, the Chinese citizens, and just overall making their living standards just better. So if it means that let's say as a Chinese government, I have to tell you, hey buddy, sure, I'll give you a shit ton of profits. Yeah, whatever. Like I have control over the national financial banks, me as the Chinese government, and I tell them, hey buddy, I'll give you a shit ton of profits, but do me a favor, I'll give it to you, but you see that community over there or that set town, I want you to better overall their living conditions. If you do that, give you a shit ton of profits, no fucking problem. And at the very end of the day, I'm the one that wins, because you're technically only gonna gain these set profits if you do what I, as the Chinese government, I'm fucking telling you. So at the end, you basically did what I did. I gave you the shit ton of profits, and keep in mind, when I give you that shit ton of profits, I'm gonna also proceed to put regulations in front of you so you can't spend these profits willy-nilly. For example, you can't just buy 10 fucking mansions just for yourself. I'm gonna stop you. I'm not gonna let you do that. I'm gonna stop you in doing any type of coercion or any type of corruption in our nation. Again, I'm gonna come in and stop you from doing that. And I'm gonna be very specific and tell you how you're gonna go about these profits that I lent to you. So, like I said, at the very end, yes, technically you have a shit ton of profits, but I'm the one in control here. So, not you.
So strange, as much as you hate Vox, you talk so much less, you say so much, and so little at the same time. So, boiling down everything that you said before about how when you engage in your political practice, you will discover what the people want, is a direct contradiction to what you said earlier, when you said, and I quote, people want something different than how do you know people truly want something that's not being represented by the establishment if you don't even know what they want yet? And part of
because that's illogical. Just I can know what people
want. What I just said was not.
I just said the 1 minute
Yeah, what I said is not illogical. I'm just literally following and I'm writing in quotes like your very own statements. I guess if you want to address that contradiction, then go. How can you know?
Yeah, I'll address it.
Something different that's not being represented by the establishment, but then go on and admit I don't know what people want.
Yeah, let's address it.
That as I do.
Let's address it.
Like again, you haven't even described to me like what's missing.
Yeah, you Destiny.
They don't
Destiny.
have.
It's very simple logic. You can know what people don't want without knowing exactly what they want positively. For example, if someone doesn't want to eat shit, you don't know what their favorite food is. They just don't want to eat the shit. You just said something completely stupid and illogical.
If people don't want to eat the shit, then why did a record number of people vote for the last election?
Because there was a steaming pile of diarrhea in their view that was the alternative to that shit.
Yeah, but they could have just not voted. You have some of the most engaged voters in the history of the country.
Yeah, because it was a referendum on Trump. Now you're here, and you can't pass bills. Your government doesn't even fucking work. You're here now.